leaders have this idea that our job is, when someone comes to us with a challenge or when we identify a challenge, our job is to open the biggest book of leadership and life answers that we possibly can find and give out those answers. We pick this up, I don't know, we pick it up from our dads sometimes, we pick it up from our parents, maybe we pick it up from our athletic coaches or teachers in high school that were so focused on us getting it right that they were willing to tell us exactly what to do. Maybe it's just human nature, feeling like we need to have all the answers. But coaching as a leadership skill or leadership discipline is about taking that idea of always having the right answers and flipping it on its head and saying, wait a minute, maybe I should think about having the right questions. Here's what happened with me in the mid 2000s. I'm a young adult still, really. I'm in my 30s. I had a lot of responsibilities as a leader, both in church leadership and business leadership. And I found that I hit a wall in my leadership. I felt like I knew how to develop others kind of intuitively. Again, that was kind of part of who I was, but I didn't have a system to do it. And I didn't have specific identifiable disciplines that I could hone in order to become better at it. I just kind of like shot from the hip and did what I thought was good and had some moderate success. But during that time, as I was taking my master's degree, I became exposed to this idea really in the early days of Christian coaching as a profession and as a discipline in the mid 2000s. Came upon this quantifiable, replicable, and that is so key, replicable system for learning how to work with people. Now, when I say system, I do not mean some starchy, artificial framework that you push on yourself, but rather a replicable system that you can then in turn give to others to really be focused on developing people in our leadership. So I didn't have that framework or process, and I became trained as a leadership coach, became trained as a leadership coach trainer, ended up doing that full-time as a profession for a number of years, and just found the incredible power of this coaching mindset. Well, just like any other sport or any other discipline that we learn, in the beginning, it's hard. But ultimately, the goal is that it becomes naturally part of who we are, so that those disciplines and those skills just naturally are expressed in our lives. And that's what this training program can help us to do. Then Proverbs 20, verse 5 says, the purposes of a man's heart are like deep waters, but a man of understanding will draw them out. The idea here is that purposes or inclinations or even answers are often already in a person. And what they do not need is more answers, but rather a person of understanding to come alongside of them and help kind of draw those things out. You've often heard it said, I don't need to hear another sermon in the rest of my life. I just need to live out what I've heard. Well, it's kind of that idea. And I'm not saying we don't need more sermons and teaching, but it's the idea is we have so much truth in us already. We know so many things, but many times we need someone to help us process through so that we can arrive at the truth about a given situation. I'm not only talking about spiritual things, I'm even talking about how to operate within an organization. We often know what it is. We need someone to come alongside of us, ask us powerful questions, listen carefully, and have development-oriented conversations to get those things out of us and into practice. And finally, we know that Jesus asked over 300 questions. In fact, the first two recorded statements from Christ were actually not statements, they were questions. Did you not know I would be about my Father's business? And why were you looking for me? So even Jesus, the very first two things he said were questions, and his whole ministry was interlaced with questions as much as telling. And if that's good for him, it's certainly good for us. So that's just a little intro into the kinds of things we'll be talking about. By taking this course, our ideal is that you're equipped to listen really well, to ask powerful questions, and to guide conversations towards productive and growth-oriented ends. All three are replicable skills that can make you an even better leader for God's kingdom in whatever station in life you're in.